Today is Saturday, August 29th, 2015, and this is the Bunny Slippers of Evil Job Seekers Call-In Show, presented by Evil Bunny Consulting. Excuse me, I'm your host, Tyrone Griffin, and if it's 3 p.m. you have on your bunny slippers, you are not looking for a job. Oh, excuse me. Welcome first-time and returning listeners. In this show, we discuss strategies and tactics of job search, staying motivated, and dealing with career transition. For more tips, resources, daily motivations, and to listen to archive shows, go to the website bunnyslippersofevil.com. There you will also find links to our show's Facebook page and Twitter handle. If you are listening live, you can call in for your questions at 347-202-0929. Again, that number is 347-202-0929. And now a word from our sponsors. Evil Bunny Consulting is the alternative to expensive outplacement. They give company-sponsored job seeker workshops as well as the one-on-one job seeker boot camp with a money-back guarantee. For more information, go to www.bunnyslippersofevil.com. Resume Edit is a low-cost, high-quality resume writing company with resumes as low as $35, written by certified resume writers. You can find them online at resume4edit.com or call 404-860-2473. Be sure to tell them you heard about them on the Bunny Slippers of Evil Job Seekers podcast. Let 3dresumes.net turn your resume into a web page with a customized domain for 12 months for only $30. Help hiring managers and recruiters find you, make your resume available 24/7, and get a professional personalized email address just for your job search. You can see my online resume at tyronegriffin.com, and for more information on how to get your own, go to 3dresumes.net. If you're thinking or about to look for a job in today's market, you will find a new reality in the job search process. The world has changed. Job search today is much more complicated than 5 years ago. Volumes of resumes, more applicant screening systems, depersonalized applications, panel interviews, team hiring, long and complicated applications, branding, and social media. Yes, the world has changed. But have you? Are you still trying today's approach? Why struggle and miss out on today's Are you still trying yesterday's approach? Why struggle and miss out on today's opportunities? Career Oyster is here to help you. Great coaches, the latest resources, unique strategies personally tailored to your job search. Find out the new reality and how you can prevent costly mistakes. To register for a free 45-minute private session with head coach Howard Caddy, go to careeroyster.com. Find the facts now. You'll be glad you did. Remember their motto, the world is your oyster, be the pearl.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another show. I hope you had a good and productive job search week, if that's what you were doing, or whatever it is you were doing this week. I hope you had a good week. I hope it was very productive and very positive, and the things going your way. This week's show is, it's easy to say, starting out on a negative foot, but not really, I don't think so. We're talking about the topic of fear. What is fear? And how does it manifest itself in your life? Excuse me, I had to grab something. So now I'm back.
Okay, so let's talk about fear in job search. First of all, and I actually have notes this week again. Lucky me. Let's talk about what is fear. And basically fear, the definition of it is an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous and likely to cause pain or threat. Real simple. That's really simple. Got a couple of quotes that I'll be using. I'll put these all in the show notes, as well as I probably won't get to all the quotes I have here, but I'll try to put them all in the show notes. Well, let's talk about it. The way I look at fear is like sometimes in job search you can fear success because the higher you rise, the farther you feel you can fall. Fear manifests manifests really in a lot of different ways. One of the things that I've seen is fear in relationships. I always take everything back to a relationship because fear, because job search is very much like dating. Fear manifests itself in such a way that what you end up with, you end up being afraid of the fear. The fear can paralyze you. It can just make you not. You don't want to do anything because think about it in a relationship. How many people you've been in a relationship and it was on the rocks, or your partner comes and tells you, you know, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if I want to be in this relationship anymore. You know, and you weren't expecting that. You weren't expecting to hear that, but they come out and tell you, okay, you know, I don't think I want to do this. What do? Well, think about how you react. First thing people do is they freeze up, they tense up, they get very nervous and afraid of losing that person. So they try to do everything absolutely perfect. They try to be the perfect partner. They are afraid of, you know, they laugh harder at every joke. You know, they feel your pain, you know, or that you feel that person's pain. You laugh harder at every joke, looking at it from the standpoint of you. You know, you try to feel that person's pain. You try to get in tune with them. You try to just try to be perfect. But, you know, what you're really doing is you're just afraid of doing the wrong thing. You get so afraid of it, you get kind of paralyzed in a way of you get afraid of doing the wrong thing. And that's even worse than the fear, because invariably what you end up doing is you screw up royally. Because first of all, you can't be that perfect person forever. So even if you are, you know, you win them back over by being absolutely perfect. Well, the challenge then is, how do you keep being absolutely perfect? And you live in that fear of, okay, I've lost this person once, or almost lost this person once. I've got to change. I changed these things about me. And can I keep them up? Can I, you know, so it's a really, you know, long term, it's a really hard thing to pull off, because you know, you changed to be what this person wanted, but now you got to stay change. So it's not easy. But that's how we react with fear. And think about it, in job search, we kind of do the same thing. The longer we're in, maybe, or we get rejected by the wrong person, or, you know, something that we really wanted, a job that we really wanted, and we get rejected by it, by the hiring manager, we end up being so afraid the next time around that, you know, we're trying to be absolutely perfect. I've said many times, job search is more an art than a science. There's no real way to just say, okay, if I do this, just like this, I will get this job. Because there's too many factors. Here's the thing with job search. I know this is not a rat hole, but this is just understand how job search works. It's people. You remember that. It's people. Just like you get up in the morning and put your clothes on, put your pants on one leg at a time, or put your shoes on one foot at a time, or whatever. That hiring manager goes to the same thing. That recruiter is the same kind of person. I think sometimes in job search you get this idea that the hiring manager is like, oh, it's like that person. Remember the movie Tron, where they talked about the user as, you know, some godlike being that that was, you know, so much greater. And that's what we look at when I think a lot of times in job search, that's how you feel about that hiring manager. You know, they're like some super being. Yeah, they have power. They have more, you know, they have the power to hire and fire. But remember something, that these people are just like you. They have good days and bad days. You know, there's those times, sometimes you go in an interview and it wasn't you. That hiring manager got up on the wrong side of the bed. Maybe they had an argument with their partner. Maybe they, you know, had a fender bender on the way to work, or somebody cut them off, or anything. So, you know, first of all, is get them off that pedestal. And I mean that without, I don't mean to disrespect anybody. I'm just saying, if you think of people, it's like in a partnership, in a dating relationship. If you put one person on a pedestal and they don't put you on a pedestal, so that you have this kind of illegal, wow, this unequal relationship, you're going to have problems because you're holding this person up to be, that person. And they're like walking over you. And unless you're just somebody who likes to be walked over, you're going to have a problem with this at some point. So don't, don't put them on a pedestal. I guess is my point. Don't put hiring managers, recruiters on a pedestal. They're people. Treat them with respect, but also, just remember that they are just normal people like you. Okay. So anyway, the drinking game. You can take a drink for that one. But in job search, I came down. Well, let me look at some of the quotes. Let me, maybe that'll get me back on the right path. Mandy Hale said, "It's okay to be scared. Being scared means you're about to do something really, really brave." Yeah, sometimes, or you're about to run really, really fast. But that's a whole nother story. Marcus Aurelius said, "If you are pained by external things, it is not they that disturb you, but your own judgment of them. And it is your power to wipe out that judgment now." Richard Norton said, "To escape fear, you have to go through it, not around it." And that was the one that hit me this morning. If to escape fear, you got to go through your fear. You can't run around it. You can't bypass it, not your fear. You can go around different obstacles that might keep you from your goal. But when it comes to fear, you can't bypass it. You have to go through it. Found a couple of Bible scriptures. So wait, I found this one quote. It said, "Decide that you want it more than you are afraid of it." Bill Cosby said that. Yeah, it was a long time before all the allegations came. Well, I'm not going to say allegations because he kind of admitted that he... Let me get off of that. I wasn't there. I ain't saying nobody's lying because he came and admitted that. Let me, okay. Take a good drink for that from the drinking game, guys. Let me move on. But anyway, I found a couple of scriptures. Psalms, book Psalms especially, it talks about fear. The best one is 23rd Psalm. "Yeah, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me." Best one. And then it's funny, this morning I was doing some reading, totally unrelated to this, just trying to get my head around, get my head ready. And I came across the 137th Psalm. And it talks about when the Israel was a captive, and they were told to their captives told them to sing us a song, and the song they sang was like, "By the rivers of Babylon, where we sat down, where we wept when we remembered Zion. We hung our harps upon the willows in the midst of it," so on. But basically, what they did was they took their captors told them to sing a song, entertain us, make us laugh, and they sang a song about what they had. What they were missing, what they lost, and that just struck me. You remember the movie Blazing Saddles? There's Cleavon Little, I think he was his star. This so long ago, but there's a scene where the slaves, who are working the railroad, the foreman says, "Hey, sing us one of those old Negro spirituals." Oh yeah, by the way, I'm black, so in case anybody not watching the video or the website, or you can't hear it in my voice. So anyway, they said, "Sing us one of those old Negro spirituals," and they sang, I think it was "I Get a Kick Out of You," which is like a Cole Porter song or somebody. I mean, it's not a spiritual at all. It's like these guys did like a Broadway production, and the scene. If you remember the scene, the foreman like, "No, we mean like a real song," and they were like the Camptown Ladies, and they're like, "What?" Anyway, the scene is funny because the foreman ended up doing the dance, and the black slaves were just sitting there just looking at him, just cracking up. Anyway, I know that was a long rat hole. I'm sorry. We're talking about fear this week, but yeah, when my mind goes there, it just runs. Sometimes I can't stop that train. So anyway, let's get back to this. Let's get back to what the task at hand, as they say. By the way, anybody who's listening live, first of all, I thank you so much for tuning in this morning. I have to go spar again this morning. For those of you who know, I take martial arts, and I have my third degree pre-test coming up in about a month. So I got to get in as much sparring and different things that I can. And today is my sparring day, and it's at 9, so I'm here at 8. So I just want to thank you all. I don't arbitrarily pick these dates and times. I would love to do every show at 10 o'clock, but yeah, just stuff happens. So anyway, let me break down. There were two kinds of fears in job search. The first fear is obvious. It's the fear of, I think both fears are pretty obvious when you hear them. The first fear in job search is the fear of not finding a job. Boom, period. Your fear that, and the longer you're in, the more rejection you get. Sometimes that fear gets even worse. So one thing you realize in job search when you're looking and when you're being denied opportunity, you're not finding a job. One thing you really realize pretty quickly is to be thankful, A, for the last job you had, and B, how, I guess, fickle the job search community is. It's like I said, it's not. There's nowhere it says if you do this and this and this, you will land a job here. There's very, very few jobs like that. But when you're out of work and you realize, I was with one of my job search BFF at the time. We were sitting at my office at Panera Bread. We were sitting by the counter. I'll never forget it. Right over in by the perimeter area. We were sitting there by the window with our laptops and we're doing our job search thing. And she got a call and she got an offer right there. And I was very, I'm not going to lie, I was jealous, but I was happy for her. But, it just reminded me that this is, job search is that fickle. Lightning can strike right next to you. It had nothing to do with, my job search, my search and what I was looking for was different than hers. That's really what it came down to. But it can hit that close, and I think I landed. It's maybe 2 months later, but job search is like that. There's no science to it. It just happens when it happens. When it's your time, you get that phone call, and that's all there is to it. And there's nothing you can do about it, but you just have to keep going until you get that phone call. But that fear of not being able to find a job, that is the number one fear in your head in job search. Just that fear of, I got to support my family and I can't. Nobody is letting me support my family. That kind of craziness. Why aren't you people letting? I just want to support my family. You hear about people in job search doing, extreme things. People stand out in the street and just hand their resume out. Writing their resume on the side of a building, having somebody paint their resume, putting their resume on Starbucks cups or Dunkin' Donuts cups, next to the building where they want to be employed. All those kind of, things you do. That's just what you do. When you're fearful like that, you just start doing things because all you want to do is feed your family because you have that fear of not being able to find a job. You're just trying to get out there, get your name out there. So that's the first fear, is that fear of not being able to find a job. And the other fear is, and this is they're both kind of related, but the other one is the fear of losing everything. The fear that, because I had done the mental calculation in my head when I was out looking for a job. I had done that calculation of, okay, this will be the month that I make the last, mortgage payment. From this point, I'll have no money left. This will be when it ends, when it's done. And how long do I have before they evict me, before they foreclose on my property? You do those calculations, unfortunately. Well, maybe just me, I'm weird like that. But, I kind of had an idea in my head how long it could last. But it was that fear of living under a bridge, That was my true fear, of living under a bridge with my family, because I had done that math. And it's like, okay, well, what happens when this happens? And, you start, okay, well, with my furniture, my laptop, that I'm doing, so recording this on. But all those calculations, you make them. They're not pleasant, but you make them. That's just the reality of it. Okay. But But anyway, so those are the two fears, and again, they're very much related. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second there. But like I said, in a relationship, you fear of doing something wrong or being wrong. Those fears, in like I mentioned earlier, if you're in a dating relationship and the person says they want to leave you and you try to do everything perfect, the upshot of that sometimes is the total opposite. Instead of you doing everything perfect, you get paralyzed. You're afraid to do anything. And it can happen in job search. You just get so fearful and so afraid of everything, of failure. And even, and this sounds crazy, you can get a fear of success. I'm very fortunate right now in the situation I'm in job wise. I've been blessed. But I'm not gonna lie, there are times when I'm so afraid, while I'm on the job. I'm fearful of it's like things are going well. It's like, okay, that was the saying, wait for the other shoe to drop. And there's no indication that there is another shoe or that somebody's going to pick it up and drop it. But you have that in your head all the time. And it can paralyze you. It can paralyze you. The fear of success in this case can paralyze you into not doing anything, to be sitting there. Now, I would imagine, I'm not a doctor and I don't play one on TV, but I would imagine that depression has something to do with that as well. Or that depression gets wound in, with that together. I think. I'm not sure, again. But thinking about the symptoms, I think there may be some relation between the two. That fear can paralyze you. It can make you just not want to do anything because you feel like whatever you do is going to be wrong. I mean, a lot of us have been in those relationships where you feel like you cannot do anything right. Some of us have been in jobs like that, where no matter what you're doing, you just feel like it's not going to be right. And everything you do, you give to your boss, you give it to them, and you're scared of their response to it. What are they going to think of me? They're going to think I'm stupid or whatever. I'm not performing well. And even if somebody's telling you you're doing fine, that fear can overwhelm you. Now, what can you do about it? Okay. I did a Google search on how to overcome fear. And, there's a 3-step program, a 4-step, a 5-step, an 8-step. There's a ton of them. I read a couple of them. And, it's funny. They break everything down pretty much the same. Give it different wording and this and that. But for me, if I had to tell somebody how to overcome a fear, the first thing I would tell them to do is acknowledge it. It's real. Okay, don't deny your fear. If you are afraid of whatever, okay, you're afraid of that. And whether you acknowledge it or not, you're still afraid of it. That's the reality of it. You are still afraid of it, whether you acknowledge that fear or not. Okay, so the first thing, just acknowledge it. Get it out. Get the monkey off your back, the 600-pound elephant in the room, however you want. 600-pound elephant. Yes, a baby elephant. However you want to say it, get it out and acknowledge, okay, this is a real thing. This fear I have, these feelings are real. Again, go back to dating. When somebody's going through, they break up with a boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, and they're going through it, and their friends come over, and the first thing they do is they acknowledge that the feelings that the person is having are real. That's the first thing you got to do, is acknowledge that those feelings that you're feeling are legitimate. Acknowledge your fear, okay? Don't, hey, how you doing, fear? But no, acknowledge it. That's from my old Honeymooners episode. It's a real thing. It's not just, it's just like your needs. Just like your need for food and shelter, fear is real. It is a real, tangible thing. It's in your mind, but it's real. So acknowledge it. Okay? Let it run its course. This might mean taking a day off. A fear day, you want to call it maybe, and just letting your fear run its course. Letting your fear, get all of it, get as afraid, overwhelm yourself with fear. I know that sounds crazy. Don't do it when you got any guns or knives around or poison, but just, sit in a room maybe by yourself or go for a drive or go for a walk. But acknowledge that your fear, let your imagination run with it, and to see how bad it can get. But just let it run. Let it all just go. Just feel the fear. It'd be a really weird movie title, but just feel it. Feel it all. The fear, the anger, frustration, anxiety, all that. Just let it all run its course. Okay? Let it all just run its course. All right? Let the fear happen. And spend the whole day. And see how bad things can get. Be afraid. Just acknowledge it. And like I've said, with when you have bad feelings and your friends come over and acknowledge it, first thing they do, again, they acknowledge your pain. Okay? Then when you spent time acknowledging that pain, you get up and you ask yourself, even if you write down, okay, acknowledge pain and say, okay, what am I going to do about it? Okay? To me, that is one of the deepest questions in the human language. What am I going to do about it? Your life is not dictated by what happens to you. It's dictated by what you do in response to what happens to you. There have been people who have found themselves homeless, and they have curled up into a ball and remained there. And there have been people who have found themselves homeless and said, okay, game on. And they've done things. They write down, what are the steps? Just write down what it is you want to happen. Okay, I got this here. And then once you've written down those steps, that's step 2. Write down what you want to happen. And 3 is execute. I always feel like this. If you want to set up a plan to get someplace, the first thing you got to do is know where you're going. So you start writing your plan with the goal. And then you write step 20, and then step 19, and then step 18. And you just do the incremental things. Step 20 is the last step to achieving your goal. Step 19 is what you have to do to get what comes right before 20 and so on. And if you do that, you get down to 1, which is where you are now. And you look and you have your path totally written of exactly what you need to do to get to your goal. But again, acknowledge your fear, first thing. Second thing is write down, what you want to happen and how to get there. And 3, execute. Fear is real, but that's the most important thing. You got to accept that fear is real. You're not crazy. Okay? No matter what anybody might tell you, you're not crazy. Fear is real. It's a real thing. Acknowledge it. Okay. Now, the last quote. And I meant to say this earlier. The last quote. Fear is the path to the dark side. Yes, Star Wars reference. 120 days till Force Awakens. Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. The great philosopher Yoda said that. Okay, but that is what fear can do to you. So don't let it do that to you, people. Ooh, I really timed this right. We got about a minute and a half to go. First of all, thank you all as usual. As always, thank you for excuse me. Thank you for listening. If you are listening on the website, feel free to subscribe to iTunes and leave feedback. So it'll help others find this show. And I appreciate feedback. If you have any suggestions for a topic you'd like me to cover, either podcast or a 1-minute bunny tip, and yeah, I know I say it almost every week. I apologize. I got to get back to doing some bunny tips, some 1-minute bunny tips. I got the ideas, just a matter of sitting down and making the time. Maybe today, after I come back from sparring, if I'm not beat up, maybe I'll do some 1-minute bunny tips. When you land, please don't forget to support the show by visiting our cafe press store and buying a t-shirt, a water bottle, a coffee mug, a clock, or a sweatshirt. So you'll have a memento of your time of transition. People, I always say it, I don't want you to forget this time, because as soon as you do, as soon as you forget what it was like when you were out there scrambling, hustling, you set yourself up to be it again. Lots of people, millions of rich people have had to hustle. And I've read enough things from rich people to honestly say that one of the things that they always talk about is, I never forgot how it is to hustle. Never forget what it's like to have a hustle, people. Never forget. So anyway, have a good week. Go out there. Hope this show this morning helped somebody. But have a great week. Have a great and productive job search week. Okay? Don't fear anything. Just keep going. Acknowledge your fear and move on. So anyway, with that, I am going to end the show. As always, again, people, I am humbled and thank you all for your support. And I will talk to you again soon. Take care and bye-bye.